Marketing Rockstar Jon Ikegami, and I'm here today to talk about video conferencing and how you can be more presentable. Normally, I don't do these videos in English. I have a company in Japan. All of my customers are Japanese, but I got a request to do this in English from my mom. So I'm going to have to do this in English this time. Okay, so like a lot of you, I'm in self-quarantine. I can't get out of the house. I'm working from home, and so I'm doing a lot of these video conferencing and webinar kind of things, just like you guys are. And, it's kind of a pity that I don't have my office because you're going to have to deal with this subpar presentation where I'm dark in the face and the sound isn't that great. But, there's not a whole lot that you can really do about that. Or is there? There actually is. And you don't have to actually go out and buy anything either. So we're going to go first things first. This window in the back, I want to get rid of that because there's a lot of light coming in from that window. And that's what's causing my face to be all dark and the rest of the room looking dark. So I'm going to show you what happens when we actually close the blinds. Okay, I close the blinds and it looks a little bit better, but not a whole lot because these blinds don't really shut out that much of light. And especially my camera is sensitive to that kind of light and it doesn't have good contrast. So my face is still dark and it's not very presentable. Okay, so first things first, we want to face this camera away from a window. We don't want it facing a window. So let's do that right now. We're going to rotate the computer 90 degrees. And now I have it facing a wall instead of a window. And instantly you can see many more features on my face. It doesn't look quite as dark. The contrast isn't as bad, but we still have a low light kind of a situation. And there are ways that you can remedy that. I use something like this. This is a small portable light source that you use for shooting video and things like that. All of a sudden, doing something like this makes a lot of a difference. You can actually see me a lot better. It's much more presentable. But, I also understand not everybody wants to actually go out and buy one of these things. And you don't have to. For example, a light stand. You probably have something that looks kind of like this in your house. Get creative. Find something that emits light and face it towards you. This makes a difference. But, point sources of light, they're okay. If you have to make do with that, you have to make do with that. And whatever works better than the first part of the video that we're actually seeing is great. But, in an ideal situation, you want to find the brightest room in your entire house and light it up. And this is actually the lightest room in my house. I have the lights turned out so that I could actually demonstrate what it looks like when things aren't really good looking. So I'm going to turn the lights on right now and you're going to be able to see what the difference is. Okay? So how's that? All of a sudden, everything's getting lightened up and my beautiful face, you can see it now. And, it's a lot more presentable as is. Voila. So now that we're a lot more presentable, we have one more problem though, the audio, right? So this doesn't sound that bad, but it's actually picking up the microphone on my laptop, and that laptop microphone does not sound very nice. Now, some of you are probably thinking, it doesn't sound too bad to me. Well, let's try and see what it sounds like when we use a variety of different microphones, okay? Now, first thing, I'm gonna start off with one of these earphones, okay? This is just a very typical, cheap $20 set of earphones that you normally use on like an iPhone or an Android or something like that. Okay, it has a microphone right here, and we're going to switch over the microphone and see what it sounds like. Okay, so now I have switched my microphone to actually pick up audio from here, and it already is sounding a lot better. Okay, but you can even do better if you have something like this laying around, or if you can actually purchase it. I would strongly recommend using something like this. This is a headset. It has a microphone right here and an earpiece right there. Now let's see what this sounds like. Hello there, sexy. So all of a sudden, I think you can actually hear the difference really significantly. And my voice didn't sound that bad at the very beginning when I was taking it straight off of the laptop, but now that I actually have this microphone here, it sounds a lot better. And I know that all of you can actually hear the difference, even if you're not using earbuds or earphones, even if you're just running it over the speakers on your laptop, it's a big difference. Okay, so already we have done a few things that are going to make your presentations, your phone conferences, your video conferences, your webinars, all this is going to look a lot better if you keep your camera pointed away from a window, a light source. You have the brightest room, you have all the lighting on, and you're actually using a microphone that is near your mouth rather than using something that is built into your laptop. And speaking of built into laptop, there's one more thing that I really, 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 really don't like. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine, and that's this camera right here. I don't like it. And it's not necessarily that I don't like the camera itself, it's that I don't like the position. Now, it's basically showing a very unflattering vision of me from a lower angle. I don't like it when that happens. It makes me feel like I'm looking down at somebody. And whenever somebody is on the other end of the line and they're looking down at me, it doesn't really feel that great. So what can you do about that? Well, you can use a stand. You can use a stand to bring up the location of your camera so that it's facing directly forward, straight towards you, rather than from below like this, okay? Big difference. This alone makes a really, really big difference. So, I said use a stand, but you can improvise, get books or empty boxes, things like that. Anything will work. Just prop it up so that you're actually looking directly into the camera rather than letting the camera look up at you. But I have one other hint. If you already have a web camera or something like that that detaches from the laptop, something that you can move around, then use a tripod or use the back of a chair or really anything and position it behind your computer, behind your laptop, okay? And I actually have that kind of a setup going right now, and you're going to be able to see it in a moment. And it looks something like this. Now, is this a big difference or what? Oh, hey, don't need you. So this is a really big difference. All of a sudden, I am looking straight into a camera, and it's not just, like a headshot. You're getting a better view of what I look like, my surrounding. You're not seeing things like the ceiling. I didn't like that really. It's not very cool. I don't have the best ceiling in the world. And just generally speaking, everything looks a lot better this way. Now, I just happen to have a kind of expensive studio camera, so the colors are really vibrant and they look a lot better than most cameras out there. But, that's not necessary. That's not the point. You can use a cheap $20, $30, $40 webcam. If you have anything like that, something that plugs into your computer, use it. Distance it away from your computer so that there's a little bit of a distance and you can look straight into the camera itself and talk to the camera. So what do you think? I think this is like a really, really big difference that you can make. And really, aside from the camera, if you don't have it, you're probably going to have to buy one. But, you don't have to. You can prop your camera up on books and your laptop on books, and it'll do the same thing. But if you do have a camera like this and you can happen to get like a green background like I'm getting, you can always do something like this. And that gets really, really fancy. Okay. So when you're using like a Zoom video conferencing tool or something, or Microsoft Teams, then you can actually put background like this into your videos. Nothing fancy, but you're going to want to have appropriate lighting in order to be able to do that. Now, in my case, this isn't exactly a Zoom background or a Teams background. This is actually true chroma key greenback. And, the only reason that I can do that is because, number one, I just happen to have the hardware. It's kind of my job. I brought it in from the office. So this is like a TV studio, a miniature TV studio. And the second reason is I just happen to have green wallpaper in this room. Call me crazy, but it's honest. I did not intend this to be a chroma key background. It just worked. Some things in life, they work out in hindsight. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you can actually make a lot better videos, whether it is making a professional presentation or just talking to your grandkids. Everybody wants to see your face. We want to talk to you. We want to see the way you look, how you're smiling or you're frowning, or, again, like I said, how are you doing, sexy?